11 days for this. 11 days for this. You get bounced by an inferior opponent. Okay? You got bounced by an inferior opponent. Now, I said that this stuff was going to happen. There were going to be speed bumps in the journey. This is about winning the NFC East and about getting home field advantage. By the way, that's not secure now. You got the Giants on your heels. It's not even the Cowboys. You got the Giants on your heels now. You got Minnesota, who's being dubbed the cardiac kids, and they're getting better. We'll get into tonight or last night's game here in a second, but 11 days for that. And by the way, this is not 4 quarters of football, what I watched last night. This is now 8 quarters of football going back to the Houston game. They have not played well in 8 quarters. And I'm going to bury JT. I saw you on with the Sports Take guys. I'm not putting this on the heels of Jalen Hurts. I'm not putting this on him. Jalen Hurts' performance last night, I don't know. I didn't feel Jalen cost the Eagles that game last night. I did not. I did not think Jalen cost them that game last night. Okay? Here's my takeaways. Second time through, Ron Rivera completely outcoached the Philadelphia Eagle coaching staff on both sides of the ball. They knew how to defend the Eagles. They knew how to defend them. I told you this yesterday. The second time through, defensive coordinators and NFL teams are going to figure out how to defend the Philadelphia Eagles. And that's exactly what happened. Ron played press coverage, didn't let the wideouts off the line of scrimmage. AJ has 1 catch for 7 yards. That defensive coordinator, which I've been saying since day one, is not the answer in Philadelphia. And by the way, your front 7, highly overrated. Highly overrated. Highly overrated. Fletcher Cox, you know, you guys were telling me when he had a couple sporadic games in that 8-game win streak that Fletcher was still a good player. Fletcher Cox is done, and he never really bought in to being a 2-gapper. He never really ever bought into it. And he plays like it. He plays high now. By the way, I think the inactivity with him has hurt him more than anybody on that defensive front 7. When you're an older player, you need more reps as you get older. He doesn't have the flexibility he once had to be a player that, get this, that's going to play with leverage. No, Hurts did not play great, but he didn't cost him that. He did not cost him that game last night. He did not. Fletcher Cox can't play with leverage. He can't get low, and this is one of the reasons why he's getting pushed off the football. Dallas Goedert, by the way, that referee call was terrible. Not so much that they missed the face mask, that the player got injured on the play. It was a double whammy. Fumble, can't review it. I hate that rule. You can't review something that's as obvious as that. By the way, there's no blaming any of the referees here on this stuff. I don't do that. But my problem is the player got injured on it. And now he's going to miss significant time. Not only did you cost a possession, which was very important in a game like that last night, they only had 47 plays. But you get your player injured on that. Not good. Not good. It's a significant loss of time, too. He's important in that cog, man. I mean, if you really look at the numbers, we're going to get to the numbers here in a second. Barrett Brooks is going to join us also at the bottom of the hour. There wasn't a Washington commander guy have outstanding numbers outside of Terry McLaurin. He was great last night. Outside of that, there wasn't a 100-yard rusher. There wasn't a 300-yard passer. It was a very methodical win last night for Washington. They won the turnover battle. Eagles got beat. Darius Slay got killed last night by Terry McLaurin. Got killed. Worst game of the year. McLaurin owned him. O-line and D-line, both handled. You know, I was listening to Barrett Brooks, and again, Barrett's going to join us in a couple minutes at the bottom of the hour. I can tell you why he's upset. Because the physicality that's known for the Eagles was not existent. It was non-existent. Non-existent. They got pushed around. Worst performance. And again, this goes back to Houston. This goes back to Houston. I'm going to get to all your thoughts in a second here. One carry for Miles Sanders. These guys started reading their press clippings. You're not that team. You're not the Chiefs. You're not a passing team. You are a point of attack, dominant football team. Act like it. Terrible, terrible, terrible game plan. 11 days for that. That was terrible. By the way, player accountability is also involved in this, but the coaching staff sucked out loud. Everyone, from the head coach to the special teams coach. Sorry ass preparation, 11 days. Terrible. Terrible. The Washington Commanders dominated you. Should be ashamed of yourselves. Rivera completely outcoached and had that defense ready to play. Wide receivers were a non-factor. Non-factor. Your running game, non-factor. Your quarterback, average. Eagles special teams, when you get into games down the stretch here, by the way, the NFC East is not locked up. Far from it. You get the Giants on your heels now. And the Giants do the most important thing you can't do is stop the run. Completely dominated you, 215, at the line of scrimmage. Dominated you. I mean, why have running backs on the team if you're not going to utilize? I'll tell you what, Nick Sirianni and that coaching staff got your ass kicked because you think you're better than you are. You thought you were going to beat them the same way you beat them in the first game. I said it yesterday. Ron Rivera has now seen you and who you are. He's going to know how to prepare for you. Wait till a good team plays you the second time through. Taylor Heineke beat you. Hassan Reddick, get off the fucking bus. Dude, your edge rushers are pathetic. 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 You can't be handled like that. The Philadelphia Eagles edge rushers are brutal in a sport where you need them. Brutal. Those are my takeaways. We'll get to the numbers now. Dominated. Dominated. First downs. The shitty O-line of the Houston Daniel Snyders out first down a team that's known for running the ball. They ran it down your throat. Total plays, domination. They dominated you. 81-47, you have no chance in hell of winning that ball game. 0. Total yards, 11 days for 264 total yards. The Washington Snyders, 330, dominated you. Screw the refs. You were beaten up. You can hang your hat all you want on the refs and the Goedert play. If you do that, you're a loser. 152-94. The Washington Snyders outmanned you and knocked you completely off the football defensively with that O-line, which is arguably one of the worst in the league. Held you and Jonathan Allen's group held you to 94. Dominated you. Those are domination numbers. 4-2 in turnovers. You don't win the turnover, the Eagles will lose. Time of possession, dominated you. 40 minutes and 24 seconds to not even 20 minutes. 1936. Game, set, and match. The Washington Commanders. Quarterback play. Hurts, 17 of 26, 175, 94-2. Not horrible. Wasn't special. Then again, he rarely is. And if you're dominating, that offense has no chance of coming back and beating you. You're theoretically the Baltimore Ravens 2.0. Tyler Heineke, you think he was special? 17 of 29, 211, and a pick. I mean, really? Those are losing numbers. Here, Brian Robinson, who? 26 carries, 86 yards. I don't know. Miles Sanders, 54 yards. I guess. Quez Watkins was your lead wideout. Four catches, 80 yards. Smith had 6 catches, his most in 4 weeks, for 39 yards. 1,000-yard receiver, my backside. AJ, get off the bus. 1 catch, 7 yards. And if you're hurt, get out of the game. No excuses. Dominated. Here's the dominating numbers. Time of possession, dominated. Rushing attack, dominated. Total plays, dominated. No other way to look at it. This is 8 quarters now, not 4 quarters. The Houston Texans ran the ball down your throat. You think it's getting any better? Teams now have a remedy to beat you. Run the ball at them. Your defensive tackles. This goes back to a year ago. You get killed on 1st and 2nd down. Jordan Davis is a loss. But if you're trying to tell me 24 plays is dictating you getting killed in 8 quarters of football, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. Again, many people probably thought I was going to sit here and bang on Jalen. I'm not. Of all the guys that played last night, I don't really think Jalen Hurts. I'll tell you this. I'm fair. If Jalen sucked out loud last night, I would tell you. I don't think he did. He wasn't special. He wasn't great. But I don't think Hurts cost him that game last night. Shitty coaching, poor execution in the O-line and D-line, and that defensive coordinator of yours is garbage. He's garbage. He's garbage. Garbage. He's a plug-and-play D coordinator. So, how do you take this game? And by the way, after today, this game's in the rearview mirror because you have the Colts coming up and Jonathan Taylor. Another run-centric team that kind of resembles Washington. They're good in the front in Indianapolis. They're not poor. That team did beat the Chiefs. And don't start talking to me about who you've beaten. You lost to the 4-5, I think it was, Washington Commanders. You lost to an under 500 team. Do I think Washington has a 500 record at the end of the year? I don't think so. Very mediocre football team. Again, there's no telling stats with star players on Washington's side of the ledger. Jones has a good one. How do we fix this? We're going to get to all of that. Okay? One person says still number 1. Really? We'll see how that plays out by the end of the year. You got a bunch of teams on your heels now. You got some teams that are trending up. The one thing you don't ever want to have happen is that you get exposed in an area where teams can beat you. And you've been exposed the last 2 weeks. Run the ball at them. Keep Jalen in the offense off the field. Press coverage. And you beat the Eagles. Get a lead on them. You even had the lead on the team, though. That's the troubling thing. Didn't the Eagles score in the first possession? You even had the lead. Yeah. At least the Vikings lost to the 8-1 team. You lost to a 4-5 team. And were dominated. I'd rather lose to the Eagles and be 8-1 than lose to that team beat the Commanders last week. I actually think the Commanders played the Vikings last week a lot better than even the Bills did. Bills made bonehead plays. That goal line play, they should have beat the Vikings. It's okay. Vikings get the win. Jesse says at least the undefeated talk can stop. Never was an issue with me. I didn't care. I only care they get home field advantage. That's it. That's what this always was about. They were the upsetting thing for me is that how dominated you were and how you didn't play with physicality. They didn't play with any physicality in that game. Let's get to the topics. There's a recipe now to beat them. Every coordinator now has a recipe to beat Philly. You're going to take a little bit of Houston, and you're going to take a little bit of Washington, and you're going to put it together. Run at the tackles. Run at your edge rushers. Run at them. If they play press coverage, you better have wide. See, what you have to have, though, is you have to have a wideout that can beat that. Play that soft-ass zone again. Dude, if you play that soft-ass zone against Mike Evans or against Odell Beckham, you're going to get annihilated and be bounced in the opening round of the playoffs. Unfortunately, Sills actually isn't picking on us today. He's just telling the truth. I will say that Hurts made the throw that could have won the game in the fourth. Watkins happened to fumble it. That's all. Hey, get this, Anton. You want me to tell you how I look at that play with Quez? I'd rather have Quez Watkins playing his ass off, trying to get the extra yardage, than being knocked off the ball like Fletcher Cox. I have no issues with Quez Watkins making a play. It's football. The other guys get paid too. I have no problem with that play. Happens. Football plays happen. Josh Allen fumbling it on the one. Quez fumbling it. Those plays happen. It's the NFL. At least they're effort plays. At least they're effort plays. Brandon Graham hitting the quarterback late. Okay, he owned it. It's an effort play. These things all came back and bit the Eagles. That's it. The troubling thing, again, is the run defense. Okay? Jesse, who cares? The problem with the face mask to me is not so much the lost fumble. It's Goedert being lost. Hey, what's this, Jess? Fuck the game. I lost Goedert for 6 weeks? Not good. If you tell me I lose that game and I don't lose Goedert, you lose. But now I've lost Goedert. That's my problem with the penalty. You hurt the guy. And he's out. That's tremendously more important. Tremendously more important is losing Goedert than the game. I lose Goedert for 6 weeks? Wow. Wow. Guys fighting to be the best tight end in the NFL, and you lose the best tight end in the NFL for 6 weeks, 5 weeks? I can't have that. Again, if you thought I was going to bang this and blame this completely on Jalen Hurts, you have not been listening to me. Jalen wasn't spectacular, but I don't put that game on him. I don't. Like, again, Aaron Rodgers plays like shit sometimes. Tom Brady got beat by P.J. Walker. Come on. Let's be fair here. Let's be fair. When Dak plays poorly or Jalen plays poorly or Brady, I'll tell you. Picking, I don't know if it's 6 weeks, but they're talking about extended period of time. Hey, Chris, maybe you're right. Nobody got off the bus last night. Coaching was terrible last night. JT, if you want to say that Hurts played poorly compared to what he has played all year, okay. Okay. He wasn't the focal point, though. O-line got killed. O-line got killed. Wide receivers were pressed. Ron had an answer for everything they did in game one. What an inexperienced coaching staff Philly has. That's the second thing that got exposed. You know what the second thing that got exposed was? Your coaching. No adjustments. I know why Barrett Brooks is coming on with us. I know why Barrett's upset, because you know why? If you thought that Ron was going to play the same game that he played the first time around, you were crazy. You didn't make any adjustments. You went into that game with ego, thinking that you were just going to knock them off the ball again. They were second in the NFL in rush defense. 0 adjustments from game one. 0. Every single thing that worked for Philly in game one was shut down in game two. I brought this up yesterday. No one wanted to hear it. Second time through, you got a better look in preparation for the Eagles, and they waxed them. They waxed him. The coaching staff was exposed. You got Dallas coming up on Christmas Eve. They're going to do the same thing. Shakira, it's a joke, Big Seal. Sirianni started feeling himself a little bit too much. Eagle fans going to hate me on this, but no, Shakur. No, absolutely not. It's one game here. I wouldn't freak out about firing the head coach. I just told you, the record's fool's gold. Everybody in the NFL right now, doesn't matter what the record is. It matters how well you're playing now. Hey, can you do Anton for me, Xander? I didn't get the super chat. I want to be able to recognize the fact that Heineke was able to get to the bot snap shows a lack of pressure from Gannon. Isaiah, defensive line not helping DBs at all. It's one of the reasons why they were completely handled. Heineke outplayed Hurts? Really? 17 of 34, 211, a pick. 17 of 26, 175, 2 touchdowns, and a pick, 94-2 quarterback. I don't know. I don't think Tyler Heineke did anything last night except win, the most important thing. Coaching staff was completely exposed last night. No adjustments? You couldn't really... Did you really have that big an ego where you really thought that you were going to do the same shit you did in the first time you saw them at FedEx, and you thought that they were going to play the same way? Nick Sirianni, I'm a little shocked with that, because I thought he's been around a little bit.